Tafshin Mem Beis. It was in that year. It was Matos Masei was the Shabbos Mevorchim the Chodesh Menachem of. So the Rebbe actually in the Sicha speaks a lot about the idea of Hashem choosing the Yidden, and also that the Rambam calls the halachas of dealing with the Beis Hamikdash Hilchos Beis Habechira. It's very interesting. In one part of Fabrengen, the Rebbe speaks about the Yidden being chosen. The second part of Fabrengen speaks about Hilchos Beis Habechira. So let's see how this connects. The Shmoy Shal Chodesh Mevorchim Shabbos Hu of. The name of the month that we bench in this past Shabbos is Av. This was a Shabbos Fabrengen, and the Rebbe spoke about Shabbos Mevorchim. That was a Shabbos Mevorchim Fabrengen. But still, it's brought down in many places that we call this month Menachem. And so the custom is to write in different documents, etc. Same thing when it comes to the bracha, when we bench the Birchas HaChodesh, when we bench the month, we also call it Menachem, as we did yesterday in Shul. Hine Shem HaChodesh of Choyal HaChodesh Baruch. The name of the month, Father, is referring to the Eibishter. Avinu Shebashamayim, our Father in heaven. Al Pizem Mefarshim HaOlam as Hashem HaChodesh Menachem Av. So the world in general explains what does it mean, this name Menachem of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of Menachem is Bnei Yisrael HaKlos Minagol. Hashem is Baruch Hu is the Father. He comforts the Yidden on the general idea of Gol. Avol Al Piza, if that would be the meaning, of Menachem. So then the month should have been called Father Comforts. The Father, that's our Father in heaven, He is the one that comforts the Yidden. Since we call this month Menachem, Mashma, it seems to indicate the meaning of this is we comfort the Father. Our Father in heaven needs comfort. And this month has affected the idea of comforting the Father. Let's skip a little bit further. Similar to the language of the bracha, Menachem Tzion L'Bnei Yerushalayim. We say it by Mincha and Tisha B'Av, that the one who comforts Tzion and builds Yerushalayim. That we comfort Tzion. Tzion needs comforting because it suffered a loss. The Menachem of, so too the meaning of Menachem of, Shemenachem as of, that we comfort the Father. Just like the general idea of exile awakens and brings about a pity and mercy upon the Yidden. Woe to the children that they were exiled from their father's table. And so too it's understood. The general idea of exile. It awakens mercy and compassion and Rachmanus on Hashem that He made His children go into exile. Therefore, Hashem also needs the idea of compassion and mercy, comforting, al-klolos in and agolos, on the general idea of exile. That's the idea. That of comfort, Father. We are comforting our Father, the Father, our Father in heaven. By prefacing a general idea concerning davening, including also the davening of benching the month, which was we did yesterday. The idea of davening is about requesting and asking from Hashem one's needs. Ukepsakdin la Rambam, like the Rambam rules, Reishil is tefillah at the beginning of the halachas of davening. Jay Adam is chanan and misbalol, a person should beg and beseech and daven. Shoyel tzrachav, he should ask for his needs, shutarach lam that he needs. Ubiyachdim zem, along with that idea that tefillah is about asking for our needs. There is known the teaching of the Mizritcher Magid. In the explanation, what the Chazal say, one does not stand to daven only out of weightiness of head. What does it mean, the weightiness of head? What is the seriousness that he's referring to? The weightiness and the heaviness of the head of all heads, the true head, meaning that we are concerned about Hashem, who is our head. We are davening for the difficulties that Hashem Kaviyachol needs. Though he's requesting his own needs, his intention should be that nothing should be lacking above, heaven forbid. And how do we match these two things up? Am I davening for myself or am I davening for Hashem's needs? So close the Inyan the Barkashas Sarachav Yachulis Beis. General idea of requesting one's needs could be in two ways, could take on two forms. Echad, one way is he's requesting those needs that he literally needs, simply needs. He feels that he's lacking something specific, and he's asking Hashem for that thing that he's lacking. Another approach is requesting his needs is not because he feels that he's lacking some specific matter. Since he knows that the body is Hashem's possessions. Like the Lathe rules in Shulchan Aruch, a person has no ownership over his body whatsoever, and therefore is prohibited, for example, it's prohibited to afflict it with any type of suffering. Why is that so? Because our body is not our own. It's one of Hashem's possessions. Therefore, there's a mitzvah min HaTorah that you shall be very careful and guarding your soul very much. Guarding the health of one's body. Except if a person is doing in a way of tshuva, then this suffering that he afflicts the body, let's say with fasting, whatever, it's beneficial for him. It's toivus aguf, it's considered even the benefit of the body. That being said, I was reading yesterday from Rabbi Leibel Groner's recollections of what went on in the Rebbe's room after the heart attack. And the Rebbe had a custom to fast. There's a minute to fast the Monday, Thursday, and Monday after Tishrei, and the Monday, Thursday, and Monday after the month of Nisan. And the Rebbe had this custom to do so. And after the heart attack, the Rebbe wanted to do so. And they had just happened to bring in a new doctor that only could see the Rebbe for a short while. And that new doctor wanted to stop the Rebbe from fasting. So he said, let's not mix in new doctors over here. Let's just go with the people that have seen me all the time. And like the Ira Weiss. And he told Ira Weiss, don't worry about me. I take any responsibility that this fasting is going to have on myself. So again, it's like every halacha and every idea in Shulchan Aruch, you need to know, as the expression in Yiddish goes, vu ein, vu ois, to what degree, where do we take this to, and so on. Anyway, getting back to our Sicha. So further he says, top of the next page, a particular deficiency and lack in the body, it creates a lack and a deficiency to Hashem's possessions. That's why the Rambam says, quote, he has to request the needs that he needs. The person is concerned that the Hashem's possessions should not be suffering, so there should not be lacking. So therefore, he davens for his health, for example. If so comes out, he's not davening for himself. He's davening for Hashem's purpose, for Hashem's needs. And even more in depth. Not only does any deficiency in the body doesn't matter to Hashem, because the body is one of Hashem's possessions. The bond and the union of Hashem with the Yidden is to such a degree that in all their afflictions, he is afflicted by it, and he is feeling the suffering. When a person is suffering, the Shekhinah says that I feel weak in my head, and I feel weak and suffering in my arm. So Kaviyachal Hashem suffers when Yidden suffer. So it's more than just saying that the lack that we're experiencing is a lack by Hashem, but it's even more so. Hashem Kaviyachal suffers with us. Therefore, Pisa moving according to this understood that there's no contradiction between the teaching and the Magid, that the davening is that nothing should be lacking above. Lapsakli in the Rambam to the ruling of the Rambam, that the davening is requesting his own needs, that he needs those needs. The fact that he needs it, it's not because of his deficiency and lack. It's only because of the lack of Hashem. Either because the body is considered the possessions of the Eibishter, or even more in depth, because in everything that they suffer, he is suffering as well. But now we're going to understand this idea even more so based on the concept of Bechira. The fact that Hashem bonds himself with the Yid until their lack and deficiency and their suffering matters above to Hashem. It's not only concerning the soul, that if the soul is lacking, the soul is not fulfilled, the soul doesn't have what it needs spiritually, so that causes kaviyachal suffering for Hashem. But also concerning the physical body. And by extension, automatically also concerning the bodily needs, not just the neshama's needs. Even more so. The connection of Hashem with the body, the physical body of the Yidden, is because of Hashem's choice, the choice of his essence, that his essence chooses the Yidden. And therefore, the Rebbe is going to explain, if it was because Hashem chose it, so that when it's a bond that comes out of choice, the Rebbe is going to explain that's a much stronger bond than a bond that's there as if not because of choice. It's explained in Tanya, what it says. We say this in Kriya Shema, and not in Kriya Shema, in the brachas before Kriya Shema and Avasolam, and you chose us from every nation and language. It's referring that Hashem's choosing us from all the nations is referring to the material body, that in the physical body, it doesn't look any different than the bodies of the nations of the world. Like spoken about many times. Now we must say that the idea of choice only applies concerning the body. As opposed to the neshama, it's not possible to say the idea of choice. The idea of choice applies only when it's possible to choose one out of two things for the same benefit. In other words, I want to eat something, and it's all the same to me whether I eat chicken or meat. I have no preference, and they're both going to satisfy me, and they're both going to give me protein, and it's going to be just as healthy for me. So then I could say I have a free choice whether I eat this or that. And because of free choice, we choose one of them. But when the need or the goal that's necessary and desired can only happen through one item, it's not possible to say that you're choosing this matter with free choice. Because the necessary goal is not possibly fulfilled through this matter alone. So let's say, to use a silly example, let's say I need to knock a nail into the wall to hang a picture. So I rummage around in my toolbox and I find a hammer and I find a screwdriver. Or I find a hammer and I find some pliers. So I need to knock a nail into the wall. To knock a nail into the wall, the only thing that's going to work is a hammer. Pliers is not going to help me knock a nail into the wall. So I can't say that I freely chose to take a hammer than to take the pliers, because the only thing I could use for this is the hammer. So therefore, that there was no free will in my choice of the hammer over the pliers. So too in our case, concerning the neshama, when the goal that's desired is the neshama, it's not applicable, the idea of choice and free will. Because the neshama of a Jewish person is only one, meaning it's only by Yid and not by Ilhavdol and non-Jew. You can't compare all the nefesh of the soul of the nations of the world to the neshama of a Yid. Only when the desired goal is the physical and material body, it's possible to say that Hashem chooses the body of a Yid, since there's another possibility. Since the material body is similar in its material state to the bodies of the nations of the world, externally at least. So therefore, it's there, the bodies, it's possible to have a choice. Since it's spoken about idea of choice, that Hashem chooses the body of a Yid, moving it's understood. The intention, this is, the meaning behind this is the choice of Hashem's essence. Meaning, it's a choice that Hashem's very essence chooses, not any levels beneath Hashem's essence. Like it's explained in Chassidus, that in godliness there's many different levels. The inyan abchira shayach rak, the idea of choice applies only when it speaks about the ultimate elevation, the highest level in godliness, beyond all the categories and definitions of what is above and below, Hashem's very essence. Just like the ultimate perfection in the person down here below. Skip the parentheses, when he does something by his own free choice, so too it's concerning godliness. In Tachos Hashlemus Balakus, the idea of choice applies with the ultimate and highest level in godliness, Atzmus and Mahus, Hashem's very essence. Free choice is the ultimate expression of myself. If I choose freely between two things, that's the ultimate expression that I'm a human being, that I'm independent. So too by Hashem, the ultimate expression of Hashem's very essence is in his free choice. With this understood the great advantage and quality of a Jewish body. That the advantage in it is even greater than the advantage that's in the soul. Because specifically in the body, there's the choice of Hashem's essence. Zaysemeresis means to say, though on its own, before Hashem chose it, there's no advantage seemingly between a Jewish body and a non-Jewish body, because it's similar to the bodies of the nations of the world. They call Malcolm still and all. After Hashem chose the body of a Yid with his free choice, on the highest most level, since there's the free choice of Hashem himself. And therefore, getting back to Hashem's suffering, and we need to comfort him. From this understood how the suffering and the lack and deficiency of the body matters above, even more so than the needs of the neshama. It's an amazing word. What my physical body lacks is even more of concern to Hashem than what my spiritual neshama lacks. Since the choice of Hashem is in the body. Now we're going to skip over a little part we're going to skip. Then we're going to skip some more later on. So getting back to the point, next page on Oishei. According to what we said earlier, about the choice of Hashem's essence in the physical body of every single Yid. Movement, it's understood. General idea of the body and the needs of the body as of much concern above. Since Hashem's very essence bound himself up with the body of a Yid through his choice in the physical body. Balpiza moving according to this understood. When a Yid davens to Hashem and he requests needs from Hashem, it's not because I feel I need a parnasa, I feel I need food, I feel I need this, I need help, whatever. Ella, he's davening that he should have health, and he's davening so he should have food, because he realizes that when he doesn't have food, so this is something that touches Hashem's very essence, because Hashem's choosing the physical body of a Yid. So it's understood concerning the davening and the request of the Yidden, that we're requesting that Hashem should nullify and remove the entire idea of Golus. That this request, this davening, it's not because the Jewish people are suffering from the idea of Golus, it's not because of our suffering. And this is because the suffering of a Yid, the suffering of a physical body, matters to Hashem's very essence. And that's why we say, and we call it Menachem Av, like the Rebbe says. So let's skip over further, a few pages down. You have to go skip a few pages down to get to the question about the Bechira of the Eibishter in the Beis Hamikdash. Page 1915. Okay. Chav Dalet. Hamshech la'amar la'il. In connection with what the Rebbe said earlier in the Fabrengen, that in these days, in 3 weeks, tzrichim lahoisif the limit of Torah ben Yonim Hakshurim and Beis Habechira. We need to add the study of Torah in matters that have to do with the chosen house, like the Rambam calls it. Moving, it's understood. When we're sitting in a Fabrengen among Chassidim, we have to explain a particular topic in the laws of Beis Habechira. The Rebbe says, first and foremost, we need to understand why is it called this thing. Madua koide harambam lehalachas elu hilchos Beis Habechira. Why does the Rambam call these halachas the halachas of the Beis Habechira, of the chosen house? Ki yadua, as it's known, shegam hakeseres nichtava idei Rambam. Even the titles of the different halachas was written by the Rambam. So the fact that the title right over all of these halachas that many of you learned with Rabbi Bucket earlier, that is called Hilchas Beis Habechira. So that itself, why did he call it that? But like Hilchas Beis Hamikdash, why doesn't he call it the laws of the Beis Hamikdash, a Hilchas Mikdash, or the laws of the Mikdash? And we actually see that the Rambam refers to it in that term. Al derech Hilchas Klei Hamikdash. Later on, he will talk about the halachas of the vessels of the Beis Hamikdash. He doesn't call the vessels of the Beis Habechira. The Hilchas Beis Hamikdash, and the laws of entering the Mikdash, who and under what circumstances, Sheba Sefer Avodah, that's in the Sefer Avodah, where he talks about all these different halachas. Not only that, the Rebbe says that the Rambam himself, after saying and calling it Hilchas Beis Habechira, when he goes into the details, will call it Mikdash. Yisayim is even more so. After the title part, where he calls it the laws of the chosen house, the Rambam wrote, Yesh bechlolon sheish mitzvahs. The laws of the Beis Habechira includes in it 6 mitzvahs, like the style of the Rambam enumerates and breaks everything down in which mitzvahs and what are the mitzvahs involved with these halachas. Shalosh mitzvahs eser, shalosh mitzvahs loisa, the 3 positive commandments, 3 negative commandments, and these are the details. And listen to number 1. Aleph, the first of these mitzvahs asay, and the first of all these 6 mitzvahs is livnois Beis Hamikdash v'chol. So he himself calls it to build a Beis Hamikdash. So just a line before he called it Hilchas Beis Habechira. Now he calls it the mitzvah to build a Beis Hamikdash. Al derech zebas follows Perek Aleph, and so too at the beginning of the first chapter of Hilchas Beis Habechira. What does he say? Mitzvahs asay lasis bayis laHashem. It's a positive commandment to make a home for the Eibishter. Kanamar, as it says, v'aso li migdash. They shall make for me a migdash. So again, it doesn't say something about a Beis Habechira. Why does the Rambam call these halachas Hilchas Beis Habechira, the laws of the Beis Habechira, Hilchas Mikdash, and not the laws of the Mikdash? This means to say, Beis Hamikdash nikra amna Beis Habechira. It's true, the Beis Hamikdash is called the chosen house. Al Shem HaKosav, Amok Mashivcha Hashem, because of the pasuk that it says, the place that Hashem will choose. Like the language of the Sifri, that's brought down the Rambam at the beginning of the laws of kings. Gimel mitzvahs nitztavu Yisrael based nisas la'aretz. 3 mitzvahs Yidden were commanded when they entered Eretz Yisrael. Limnos lam melech, to appoint for them a king. V'livnos lam Beis Habechira v'chulu, and to build a chosen house. So even though we have that expression based on that pasuk, Aval Afal became ain't a movement, still no, it's not understood. Why is the Rambam choose, and he's so exact in his language, in his sefer called Yada Chazaka, Shinyone halachas, that the idea of the Rambam sefer is not pirushim and commentaries and droshes and matters having to do with explaining psukim, but it's a halacha sefer. It's the Shulchan Aruch of his day. The Rambam was one of the first to write a sefer that's like a Shulchan Aruch. So why does he decide likrei la'halachas elu hilchas Beis Habechira dafke? Why does he specifically choose to call these halachas the laws of the chosen house? Especially then in the continuation of his words, he emphasizes and he calls it the laws of the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, or he calls it the Lashon Mikdash. So now we have to skip over multiple pages to Ois Mem Zayin. It's on page 1933 in the downloads over here. Let's almost there. Okay, so let's go to Ois Mem Zayin. Bir Madua Kaira Rambam Lachlos Halachas Elu B'Shem Hilchos Beis Habechira V'Lo Hilchos Migdash. The reason why the Rambam calls these general halachas with the name, the laws of the Beis Habechira, and not the laws of Migdash. Reish Perek Beis, at the beginning of the second chapter of the Hilchos Beis Habechira, Kosev Rambam, the Rambam writes, "Hamizbeach mekoymoi mechuvan b'yos." The location of the Mizbeach is very exact. Hu hamakim shenbana by Avraham. This is missing a reish over here. Hamizbeach v'akad al Yitzchak. It's the very place that Avraham Avinu built Mizbeach and tied Yitzchak upon it. Hu hamakim shenbana by Noach yishyatzim ateva. The very place that Noach built the Mizbeach when he left the Teva. It is the Mizbeach that Cain and Hevel sacrificed upon it as well. And over there, Adam Rishon offered and sacrificed a carbon when he was created. And not only that, but from that location where the Mizbeach was, that's what he was created from. Since the location of the Mizbeach is very exact, and you're not supposed to ever change it and move it from its place. Moving it's understood. The Beis Hamikdash must be in this place. That the Mizbeach must be in the Beis Hamikdash. And this is, by the way, one of the problems amongst different various problems, but this is one of the reasons why we cannot build the Beis Hamikdash these days, because we don't know the exact location of the Mizbeach. And because there's different opinions and so on, where exactly is the Mizbeach, there's at least 3 different opinions about where the location of the Mizbeach was. According to this, we need to understand, it says in the pasuk that the Beis Hamikdash is the place that Hashem will choose. That's what it said over there in the pasuk. And when Hashem will bring you to the place that you will choose, so then you're not going to go ahead and sacrifice wherever you want karbanos. You're only going to sacrifice over here. It says in Chumash Dvar. So what do you mean the place that Hashem will choose? Hare Beis Hamikdash hayamukhrach li is b'makom zeh dafka. Hashem didn't choose it. It had to be in this place. In the place that from it Adam Rishon was created, and in it, and on that place, the Adam Rishon already brought a carbon. So this was already like predetermined. Wherever Adam Rishon was taken from, wherever Adam Rishon built a Mizbeach, and Noach did, and Avraham, and Kyle and Hevel, all those places were already predetermined and predestined to be the place of the Mizbeach. So how can you say that it's the place that Hashem will choose? The simple explanation this is, there is a particular place that in it was the choice of Hashem's very essence. Like we said before, that free choice is something that connects with Hashem's essence. It's the place that Hashem chooses. And after this place is chosen, Nivra Misham Adam Rishon. From that place, Adam Rishon was created. Uboy Hikriv carbon, and he offered a carbon in it. Uboy Nekad Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was tied over there in the Akedah. Zoysemeres, this means to say, Shasiba Legoidel Chashivas Makumzeh, the reason for the great value and importance of this place. This was a place where Adam Rishon brought his carbon, and in it Yitzchak Avinu was offered up and so on. Because it's the place that Hashem will choose. In other words, by Hashem is beyond time. So the fact that we didn't know yet that Hashem is going to point that out to David HaMelech and to Shlomo prophetically, that this will be the place. But it doesn't mean that Hashem didn't already choose it prior to that. And Adam knew this, and Noach knew this, and Hevel and Cain knew this. Consciously, subconsciously, it's not the point. The point was, first came Hashem's choice, and then they made it the place of whether they made it or not. Other Bnei Yisrael had no choice in being born from that place and taking that place. According to this, understood why the Rambam emphasizes in the caption and in the title of these halachas the name Beis Habechira specifically. First and foremost, the Rambam emphasizes Beis Hamikdash nikra Beis Habechira, that the Beis Hamikdash is called the Beis Habechira, the chosen house. The Beis Hamikdash, this name indicates and emphasizes the special quality and advantage of this, the Beis Hamikdash, Hashem, being that's a place that Hashem chooses, Beis Habechira. But afterwards, like we said, he immediately changes gears. When speaking about the specific halachas that's connected with the Beis Hamikdash, the Rambam writes, mitzvah he livnois a Beis Hamikdash, the mitzvah is to build a Beis Hamikdash, and Amar Vasli Mikdash, like it says, they shall make for him Mikdash. Valderech zelchus kli Hamikdash, vilchus bias Mikdash, and so too it says the laws of the vessels of the Beis Hamikdash and the laws of entering the Beis Hamikdash. Ki Hashem Mikdash kashur v'negeya le'inyan sha'alacha b'poyel. The name Mikdash, a holy place, a sanctuary, that's connected and matters to halacha, to practical application. Hainu, this means, since it is a holy place, it's a sanctuary, a love, so the entrance in it and to it, can only be in a matter of holiness. And the vessels that are in it, has to be specifically in a manner of holiness. Skip the parentheses. Like all the specific details and halachas that's explained in the laws of the vessels of the Beis Hamikdash and the laws of entering the Beis Hamikdash. So then the Rebbe goes on and says that in a similar vein, this is about the general idea of Torah mitzvahs. Let's skip over a little bit. And the same thing is concerning the idea of Bnei Yisrael. So it says, Valderech zeh, a little bit lower down the page, Benegel Bnei Yisrael, similar to the Jewish people. In addition to all the advantages that Yidden have, they have purity, they have holiness, they have the beauty of holiness, etc. There's the primary matter. There is Hashem's choosing the Jewish people. And as a result and an outcome of that comes about all the individual advantages of the Jewish people. This is the great, powerful idea of choice, that right before Rosh Hashanah we say this pasuk, right before Kir Shofar on Rosh Hashanah we say this pasuk. Yivchar lonas Yaakov is going Yaakov. Choose for us our inheritance, the might of Yaakov and the glory of Yaakov that he loved. This is the choice of Hashem's very essence in the Yidden. Therefore, even on a level that's beyond the Seder Ishtalshus. Like the Navi says, that over there, Esav and Yaakov are brothers. The Eibishter is beyond having like a special consideration for Yaakov over Esav. Despite that, specifically, I will love Yaakov. Because this love comes out of the choice of Hashem's essence. That has no cause and prior reason. A free choice without any cause and reason whatsoever. Where does that come from? Can only be for Hashem's essence that has no cause and reason for And like I said, the Rebbe goes in the same thing in the mitzvahs, that Hashem chose the mitzvahs, and um, uh, and that is because of that, every mitzvah has its own specialness, and this specialness that's to be found in a yid, that's the idea of the word of perfection, and the completion of the Jewish people have to be with the completion and perfection of all the yidden. So he says, through the complete Am Yisrael, that will have our youth and our elderly with our sons and daughters. Will have the complete Torah. We will merit very soon to the completion of the Eretz Yisrael in the true redemption, the complete redemption through Mashiach. Then we fulfill the promise that Hashem will broaden your boundaries. Eretz Kadmoni, the land of the three additional nations, in addition to the seven nations. He and the preparation for this is idea in the Shleimus Aretz through the matter of the completion and perfection of Eretz Yisrael, in such a way it's applicable in the time of the exile. That Yidden hold on to those territories, to those parcels of land that was already given through the Eibishter, by the power and the might of the hand of Hashem. By days as through that we merit the perfection and completion of the entire Eretz Yisrael to all of its boundaries, in pleasant ways and in peaceful ways. When Hashem will broaden your land, like the saying of the one whose imprisonment and redemption was this month, that was said and recited on the 3rd of Tammuz. Not by our own power will we return to Eretz Yisrael. Our Father, our King, He, blessed be He, will redeem us and gather our scattered people. He'll bring us upright through Mashiach to our land. And then there will be revealed the choice of Hashem in all the three matters. The choice in Yid. Shleimus Ha'am, there'll be the complete nation of the Habechira b'Torah mitzvahs, the choice that he has in Torah mitzvahs, Shleimus HaTorah, the perfection of Torah. Habechira, Beis Hamikdash, and choosing the Beis Hamikdash, Akshura, and Shleimus Ha'aretz, that's connected with the perfection and completion of Eretz Yisrael. Hine bizman hazeh, me'irim begoli ha'mailas ha'propius b'inyonim elu, she'im boim k'toitzah min habechira. These days, before Mashiach comes, what's revealed? The individual qualities of these things that are only results of the choice, like we said. The choice is the first thing that comes, but that's not what is evident. What's evident is he does this, he does that. Torah has this quality, Torah has that quality. The Beis Hamikdash is a holy place, and these qualities and those qualities. But as the idea of choice and Hashem's choice in these things is at this moment, it's concealed. I will also love it, but in the future, when Mashiach comes, it will be will become revealed the choice of Hashem's essence in all these matters. The final part of the Sicha, that's where it says, that man will not teach his fellow anymore, because all will know me, from the most minor to the greatest. Even when Mashiach comes, there will be differences between the smaller and the greater one. All these differences will only be concerning those revealed qualities, as opposed to Hashem's very essence. All will know me. So then all will know me equally, because it has to do with Hashem's essence, and the choice of Hashem's essence is in everyone the same. By Ilush of Yisrael, in the advantage of the Yidden, and this quality of the Yidden will affect the entire world. The entire world will be in a state and situation to repair the world with the kingdom of Shindal Yud. It will be for Hashem the kingship. Should be the will of Hashem. Speedily, we should merit the three matters of the perfection, the completion of Am Yisrael, the complete Torah, and the complete land of Eretz Yisrael, the Tachsa Shleimus, in the ultimate perfect way, and the revelation of the choice of Hashem's essence in all these matters. And all this will be speedily in our days in actuality, with gladness, happiness, and gladness of heart. Simchas olam al roisham, and everlasting joy upon their heads. The Rebbe concluded the Fabrengen by telling the children to sing, "We want Mashiach now."